Don't take yourself too seriously when you're getting into triathlon. Just have some fun with it. Don't look at the numbers too much. You will get better with time, and just keep at it. Consistency, week to week to week. This is going to be a great video for anyone who hasn't done an Ironman 70.3 or hasn't done an Ironman. I know when I started, I wish I would have seen this video. My name is Blake. I'm the founder and a coach at Hacks Athletic Club, and my goal is to help you cross finish lines and become a better and confident individual within fitness. So this is a significant topic for me to talk about because when I was getting started, I wish I had this video of someone who's done each the 70.3 and the full Ironman distance. Right now in my career, I've done 2 full Ironmans and 8 70.3s. And if you don't know, a 70.3 is a half Ironman. I had no clue what Ironman 70.3 was when I was first getting into the sport, but that's what it means. 70.3 is just the distance that you'll be completing in miles. Yeah, I mean, I've been a competitor within it, and I've also been a coach within both of the actual races, so I feel like I have a really good understanding for someone new or getting into the sport or who wants to go and go for worlds. So I feel like I have some pretty good knowledge and experience within coaching people and racing myself for the Ironman 70.3 distance and the Ironman distance, as I've coached over 400 people within triathlon and fitness. So yeah, I have experience in both racing and the coaching side of things. So what actually is an Ironman 70.3? An Ironman 70.3 is obviously a half Ironman, and that consists of a 1.9 kilometer swim, a 90 kilometer bike ride, and a 21.1 kilometer run. A full Ironman is double Ironman 70.3. So it is a 3.8 kilometer swim, an 180 kilometer bike ride, and a 42.2 kilometer run, which is a marathon. I started coaching 3 years ago, and I've had most experiences training people for Ironman 70.3s, and it's definitely the majority of the people that are able to train for Ironman 70.3s, because a lot of people are just getting into the sport nowadays and watching these videos and reaching out to me. So now I'm developing them from an Ironman 70.3 distance to a full. I've probably had about 50 Ironman full finishers that I've coached, but probably 150 plus Ironman 70.3 finishers. Now it obviously differs extremely wide from what course everyone's doing. If it's hilly, the elevation, the weather, there's a lot of factors that go into both of these races. But I mean, when you look at an average time, I wouldn't take that to heart if you're too slow or too fast, because it's just the general average time. Now going into training demands, it is extremely different for Ironman 70.3 versus Ironman training demands. Because Ironman 70.3, I would say the average weekly time I'd want you to train, and what I train for my athletes that are just getting into the sport, or maybe they're like 4 or 5 months into the sport, would be around 8 to 12 hours for an Ironman 70.3. But then a full Ironman would be anywhere from 12 to 18 hours per week. It all depends on who is racing it, what your schedule looks like, what hours you have in the day to train. Because I plan the workouts for each individual completely different. Because I mean, if you are, let's say, a nurse and you work 12-hour shifts versus someone that works a 9 to 5, your schedule is going to look completely different, and the hours are going to be different throughout each day. So that's where that's where it differs a ton, is your schedule that you have to train. And I would say some people just aren't fit to do a full Ironman living the way they are today, because you have to make a lot of sacrifices if you want to train 18 hours a week. And even for an Ironman 70.3, you would have to make sacrifices in your life right now to train for an Ironman 70.3 and finish. And then if you want to podium or do really good or go for a timer in these races, that's another story, because you're going to have to dedicate more time and you're going to have to apply yourself more to the sport to get a better time. Right now, for example, I'm building Hacks. I'm really busy on the business side of things and coaching side of things within Hacks Athletic Club. I am dedicating myself this entire year to Ironman 70.3, training 10 to 12 hours per week. Could I do more than that? I could for sure do more than that, but that would take my energy away from my business and my athletes. And so what I'd ask yourself is, how much time do you have in a week to train, and build that plan out, or get your coach to do that, or if you need coaching. If you have any questions about triathlon, lifting, running, biking, swimming, and you want to have a schedule, you want to have a plan, and you don't know where to go, fill in the link on my website, hacksathleticlub.com. I'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours to see if this is a good fit, and we'll go from there. Or if you just have any general questions, message me on Instagram. Let's get back to the video. That's something that I don't think a lot of people think about, is that they look at someone who's training 30 hours a week, like all the pros, and they're like, how the hell can they do that? Well, that's their job. They're doing that 24/7. They don't have a 9 to 5 to go to, or they don't have another job to go to. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of them do, but most of them that are training 30 hours a week, I mean, that's their job. And yeah, I'd say don't compare yourself too much on that, and only compare yourself to who you were in the past. Like that's something huge as well when you're getting into Ironman training and times and metrics and comparing yourself to other people online or all your friends on Strava or that sort of thing. Just compare yourself to where you were in the past. Like, you can get your head wrapped up so much in your times, your wattages, your paces swimming wise, and I think it's just a never-ending spiral if you take it in a negative way, or if you take it in like a jealous way. I used to take it in that way, but now I take it as kind of like a motivation, being like, that guy worked his ass off to get there. I'm not there yet, but I'm going to get there with work and with time and with consistency, week to week to week. Now that's something to take into consideration, because I'd hate for you to get into Ironman training and just burn out extremely fast, because I feel like that could be a big issue for a lot of people that get into training, because they overload their schedule, not realizing how much, not just time you have for the training, but time you have to prepare your meals, time you have to get your bike set up, drive home to and from the gym. So that's something else to take into consideration. So I would do a time audit of your week and just see how many hours you could carve out. Like, you're not going to have a lot of free time outside your work, training, and like maybe 3 hours a week hanging out with your friends and family. But I see this as a temporary sacrifice. Like, I'm not going to be training 10 to 12 hours plus my whole life. This is just a temporary season of my life for the next, let's say, 5-10 years. And same for you. Like, a lot of people come in and out of this sport. So which race should you consider, Ironman 70.3 or an Ironman? I would advise new people getting into the sport to first do some smaller triathlons first. So like a sprint distance, an Olympic distance, and then jump up to the Ironman 70.3, and then eventually, once you feel really comfortable at a 70.3, jump up to the Ironman distance. But there's no rush. Like, I mean, this is just like a longevity sport. It's not like you need to do an Ironman by 2028. Like, don't rush it too much as well, because I feel like the process is the most rewarding thing, is to look back 3 years ago and say, oh, I couldn't swim, or I couldn't bike, or I couldn't run, and then 4 years later you're going to Ironman 70.3 Worlds. Some of the most recent success stories that I've had in my coaching career, there's several people, I'll throw up pictures here, that started and came to me and said, I want to do an Ironman. I don't care how long it takes, but I want to cross the finish line. And I've had several people come to me, I want to be good at this sport, I want to podium, I want to become pro, and I want to dedicate time into my craft to become faster. See, those are two different types of buckets, and I work with both of them. There's both of those types of buckets within Hacks, but I think for you really have to think about that. Determine which bucket you are in. It doesn't matter which bucket you're in. You're still doing a sport and doing a race that 99.9% of people would never even think about signing up for. So I'd say that's a win in itself, but that's something you should think about before getting into the sport. Now, my personal journey to an Ironman stepping stone, I did a marathon, and then I did an Ironman 70.3, another marathon, another Ironman 70.3, and then an Ironman. So I did 4 endurance races before stepping up to the Ironman, and I feel like that was a pretty solid plan for myself because I gave myself stepping stones to get to that end destination. And I'm still racing today. Like, I just finished a 2-hour workout today, but I'm still doing that. And this is what, I think about 4 years down the line. And I'm still loving it because you're never going to perfect this sport. There's always going to be somewhere to improve at. There's always going to be somewhere else to shoot for. And I think that's a great process of the sport because it doesn't get any easier as you go down the line. You just get better. The workouts are still hard when you're swimming 120s. The workouts are still hard when you're pushing 300 watts. It's just you have entered another level. So this is probably something you're going to experience down the line if you just got into the sport. But just to take some things into consideration when you're getting into Ironman. So to conclude this video, Ironman 70.3 versus Ironman. They're both similar sports, but different beasts. Ironman 70.3, you can for sure have a 40-hour-a-week job and still maintain a decent work-life balance. But for an Ironman, I would say it's definitely going to be a lot harder to maintain some sort of balance in your life. But people can do it, and you can for sure make sacrifices within your life. You're not going to be able to do some of the things you would do if you weren't training. But this is why I like the Ironman 70.3 distance so much, because you can still push yourself super hard, but you can also excel in this side of your life, whether that be in your career, your relationships, travel, whatever that be. But for a full Ironman, it definitely is a sacrifice that I think I didn't realize how much it was when I was getting into them. I've trained for 3 so far. I finished 2 because one of them I got really sick before the race. But Ironman 70.3 is a great distance. Ironman is a great feat to do a couple times in your life and maybe race it one day, as I'm probably going to do that down the line. But right now, it's 70.3 for myself and a lot of my athletes. I want to develop people so they can strive at each distance and down the line, go to Worlds, or down the line, become a pro triathlete. So that's my goal here, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram or comment on this video. Don't take yourself too seriously when you're getting into triathlon. Just have some fun with it. Don't look at the numbers too much. You will get better with time, and just keep at it. Consistency, week to week to week, does a lot. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.